Welcome back to Les Schwab Tire Center's Outdoor GPS, presented by Fisherman's Marine and Outdoor.
Okay, second part of the Chevy Silverado Tech Tip of the Week. You know, and I'm going to admit this is because I always try to keep this as straight as I possibly can. We wanted to get a live report this morning, but a lot of our typical guides, they weren't fishing today. Thought that was kind of interesting. So again, gives me an opportunity to talk about something that I love, and this is one of them, okay? First thing I'm going to say, do you have to have a setup that is in that $800 to $900 price range? 100% answer is no, you do not, okay? There are so many different combinations out there that you can get into, rod, reel, and everything, that you're gonna be into the thing $200, $300 and have a very capable steelhead setup for winter steelhead. Simple, okay? Now, if you like to have really, really good stuff, and you're lucky enough to be able to represent them, and I'll be honest with you, I've owned all this stuff for many years, longer than Shimano or Edge was ever a sponsor, because when you really, really love something, you really want to have the best, and that actually comes from my friend Fred. That kind of convinced me of that years ago. If you love it, why not have the best? Well, here it is. And again, this is my own personal opinion. Everybody's going to have their own like an elbow, right? It just is what it is. First thing, this is a 10 to 20 Edge. It is the 1065-2, right? Now, they actually make the very, very similar rod, same of it in its lineup, but it's an 8 to 17 as opposed to a 10 to 20. A lot of people are going to think, well, God, 10 to 20, that's a salmon rod. Yeah, you know what? You could use this if you wanted to chase, silvers or, maybe spring Chinook because they're so much smaller these days. I would not want to tangle with a 30 or 40-pound Chinook in, tidal river by any means. You get your butt handed to you with this setup. But yes, would it work? Sure. The reason why the 10 to 20 in a 10'6", okay, with a 4,000, this is a Stella from Shimano, okay, the 4,000 is key, all right? Now, I know a lot of people like to bobber dog or chase steelhead with a 3,000, 2,500 size, and those will work. But if you're trying to gather line quickly and make more casts, right, and be able to dump more line, especially with all of us running floats these days for so many different reasons, a lot of them very obvious reasons, having more line on your spool and the ability to get it back fast is an advantage. That's why a 4,000 is the go-to for me and most of the people I spend my time fishing with, okay? So now that being said, the 10 to 20, 10.6 Edge, the reason why this one stands out so much is the parabolic bend. And I know I am not all that much into parabolic bends and all that in technical terms, but I know that we're playing around with this camera over here, so I'm gonna try to show you as best I can here that with this bend, you can see that the bend of this rod goes well into that second half, halfway up from the ferrule. Halfway up is where that bend really starts to come into play. That means I've got nearly 3/4, 2/3 of this rod is backbone. The very front of the rod is very, very soft, okay? I'm actually running right now in my hand is 8-pound CXX from P-Line, fluorocarbon, 8-pound with a 10 to 20 rod. Now you're gonna go, holy moly. Well, you gotta have a really good reel, which this is the best. I mean, you could argue all you want. There's a lot of great reels out there. This is one of them. It's in the conversation, okay? The Stella from Shimano, just that simple. The drag is phenomenal, okay? And we're taking on, as you know, teener, hopefully teener size winter steelhead in small areas. If you ain't got the right gear, it's over with 8-pound fluoro. And I'm hoping that you know that. I mean, it's just over. But with this particular rod and the way that the bend is, 40-pound braid, okay, 40-pound braid, it lays on the water in such a way when you get all that line out there, when you're running your bobber, when you're working things below a drift boat or even when you're on the bank, whatever it might be, even bobber dogging out of a sled. You need to be able to pick that line up first try, okay? Meaning that backbone is being used because of the line that you've got out there. Yeah, it helps fight fish and all that, but that's not why I love it. I love it because I can dump a pile of line, get it down there where fish might be, okay? We catch a lot of fish on the bottom end of our floats, and then still be able to pick it all up and set the hook in one go. Now, if you got a 8 to 17 or even something lighter, which a lot of people like to use for bobber dogging, then that's fine. When you set that hook the first time or try to pick up the line the first time, you're not doing anything to the hook. Literally, you're not. You might think you are, But in reality, you're not, okay? This rod, when 30, 40, 50, 60 yards down there, I can pick that line up and I am manipulating the hook. Well, and another reason for that, and I get this question a lot, is why do you fish a fixed float? Well, this is one of them, because when I set the hook, I move the float, the hook moves. Instead of sliding up and down. A lot of advantages. We talked about it for years. Anyway, so I'm calling this my perfect setup. The reason why I love this rig, again, 10 to 26, or excuse me, 10 to 20 pound range, okay? Not 8 to 17, 10 to 20. It's the 1065-2 from Edge. They make an 8 to 17 if you might, go up there and put it in your hand and feel, oh, trust me on this 10 to 20. With this 4000 Stella, this setup, the question was specifically, and forgive me for the individual's name, I apologize, is the perfect steelhead winter steelhead setup. Now, it's set up right now for bobber dogging. I can do anything with this thing. Drift fish with it. I could throw spinners with it if I wanted to, although throwing a spinner with a spinning reel, not the best idea, but you could certainly do it. But a lot of different things that you can do with this. Bobber and jig, holy moly. I do like a little bit lighter of a rod for bobber and jig because you fish that a little bit different, but still bobber and jig, absolutely. And then it would be a crossover if you wanted to use it for salmon fishing just because of the 10 to 20 range, okay? So it's crazy. Now, I'll be honest, this rod is only used, it never comes apart. I have never used it for anything other than bobber dogging, but I do have two other setups exactly like it. One of them is a bobber and jig setup, and the other one's just the backup bobber dogging rod. So again, I'm gonna go back to where I started. Do you need to have a $700 reel? No. Do you need a $400 rod? Absolutely not. You can do the exact same thing for significantly less through a number of different manufacturers that are out there, rod and reel combos, whatever it is, to get yourself started. But if you ever get to that point, or maybe you're there now, and you want to just pick a Ferrari up, that's it. It's a Stella 4000 and the 1065-2 from Edge. It's really just that simple. All right, we're going to cut to a break. When we come back, we're going to wrap it up and let you know what we got going on for next weekend, because this is going to be another good one. We'll be right back.